Let's start with NFL games because that is I know you do the same for college football games as well on Fox. But how do we tighten up these games with all the reviews?
Well, that's what's hard. I mean, I think you got two areas. First one, the easy one to me is college football, because I think the fact that their offense has changed so much with a simple change, a rule change that was made where you don't have a 25-second play clock, so you can snap the ball as soon as the ball gets put down. And now you have Clemson. How many plays did they run? 99 plays in the national championship game. You get so many plays, so many first downs that I think if you just didn't stop the clock on first downs, unless you have a 2-minute warning, and then if it gets inside of the 2-minute warning, then you can, to keep that element of the game. You know, I think that's the first step. Now, the problem is going to be that you're going to take plays out of the game, you know, which personally I think is an okay thing. I think it's too long, and I think it is player safety related. Out in the Pac-12 with some of the offenses that are running out there, you get 200 plays a game, and say what you want, I think you put players more at risk. And then, of course, you've got no limit in college football on the number of stops. I mean, so you see the Rose Bowl and the national championship game. Think of the national championship game where they stopped it so many times at the end of the game. Now, that's a competitive issue to me.
No question.
You know, it's not just trying to look to see if the play was called right, but now you're giving the team like Alabama, who's out of juice, you're giving them 3 minutes to kind of catch their breath a little bit.
Same thing. Look, same thing happens in basketball. Where it's only under 2 minutes, but a deflection, you can have it reviewed. And there are teams that they don't have any timeouts, so they don't want to use a timeout, so they'll point over to get it reviewed, and then they'll have a quick huddle. So, is there a reasonable way to speed this thing up so that we don't have every play gets reviewed? Like, oh, because I can't imagine. I just can't imagine. It's the reason I don't play golf. Right? I like golf. I know you play golf a bunch.
Well, we'd have to replay a bunch of your shots.
No, but that's not the point. The point is, I don't play golf because I have 3 little kids, and between getting up, getting ready, then going hitting a couple on the range, putting a couple. Like, even now as it is, if I can ever get the free pass, I go straight to the first tee and start playing. Like, let's go, ready golf. Even then, it takes 4 hours, 3.5 to get through a round, and that's if no one else is on the course. And
that's a quick round.
You're jammed. The point is, I just don't have that much time. Like, at some point, the time expended to go to a game, like, why? I'll just go at home. Outside of not stopping the clock on a first down in college, how do we speed up the replay?
I mean, obviously, you can look at the standpoint of, you know, can you limit the number of reviews like the NFL does? And I think that's certainly something. I think that the game has changed so much, Doug, that and replay has been such a big part of that because it's expanded so far into the game right now. And they're making calls, judgment calls, which I don't think they should make. You know, your reference to stoppages and how it now affects the competitive thing. I'm going to tell you, George Young, we know George Young, legendary. I mean, when we brought replay back in the NFL in '99, he was the head of football operations. He had a manila folder when we started the discussions on replay. It's a manila folder, and you have a little tag on the top, and that's where you'd write instant replay. He kept it on his desk. George was a football purist. George didn't like replay, didn't want replay. And on this manila folder, instead of writing instant replay on his tab, he wrote in big letters on the folder, "The monster grows." And it's true. The monster has grown, and technology has gotten so much into the game, and this whole thing of trying to get everything right, that there's too many stops trying to get every little thing right, and I think we need to control that.
Let me ask you a question that I know you've answered earlier today, but what is a pick play? Like, how do we determine, because rub routes, pick plays, whatever, man-to-man coverage right around the goal line, everyone's doing it. We saw it in the national championship game twice. The Saints run a ton of it. We're going to see it here in the playoffs. What constitutes a legal? What constitutes an illegal pick play?
Well, certainly what constitutes illegal is there are legal picks that occur at the line of scrimmage. So if you, in the NFL, and we'll see it this weekend, if you pick a guy within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage, so he's not more than a yard downfield when you pick him, legal. There's no question about that. That's legal. Teams
is there a gray area between the yard? Like, is a yard and a half, 2 yards?
No.
Or is it, no? Okay.
No, the officials have been told, because of the advantage of the pick play, to be literal. Now, very hard to be literal because you have to think from the standpoint of, if you're a wide guy coming in and picking, that's the responsibility of the guy that's 25 yards downfield. So then he has to try to identify Was he a yard and a half downfield? And also in your 25, where'd he start from? Was he on the line? Was he off the line? Very, very difficult to do. But there are a lot of legal picks. Rubs, all those things, national championship. You know, I felt the first touchdown, the Clemson one, was a pick. Second one,
even though he stuck up his hands,
even though he knew what he was doing.
Right?
He drove the guy downfield, his own guy downfield, and then turned around and threw up his hands. That was cleverly designed.
Now, in college, is it 3 yards or is it still 1 yard in college?
No, it's still the line of scrimmage in college. They don't even have the 1 yard buffer zone. The 3 yards has to do with the ineligibles going downfield. You get a 3 yard buffer zone there, but you know. Hey, listen, it's you're going to see picks run. Difference of a pick and a rub. You have to initiate the contact. But if you're running and a block or a defender's chucking you, and then you end up making, if you're in kind of, then you're off the hook. It's a difficult one, but like I say, the one I thought the first one in the Clemson game was a pick.
We're getting. I don't even know how I got that. That starts ringing. Mike Pereira joining us in the Doug Gottlieb Show, CBS Sports Radio. Where are we now on what constitutes a catch? Dez is going to play this weekend. They're playing the Packers. It's the first time they've played the Packers in like 7 years at home. We know that video is going to run on Fox. Where are we now on what constitutes a catch?
I think we're closer. I'm closer to understand it. I think there's still a gray area. To me, the one gray area that remains is this element of time. Look, there's always 3 elements. There's control, 2 feet, and then there's time. So what is time? I mean, how do you define time? They put it in the rule book, defining it as extra steps, turning upfield, being able to brace for contact and protect yourself from contact from an opponent. After you have one of those elements, then you technically become a runner. And so therefore the pass is completed and you're a runner. Now, going to the ground, back to the Dez Bryant play, different story. If you're going directly to the ground, forget the feet, forget the knee that might hit on the way to the ground. You have to hold on to the ball when you hit the ground. So if you want to, on your way directly to the ground after your feet have touched, and think back at Dez Bryant, of reaching forward and extending the ball out to get it to the goal line or to get to the line to gain, and it pops out, it's incomplete. You're on your own risk. So, and I know the Blandino and the staff went around to every team and said, look, if you're going to the ground, you want to take that chance of extending the ball out, it's at your own risk because we're going to go incomplete. Now, obviously, this is directly to the ground. And so you go direct, you take, 5 stumbling steps and go to the ground, then that's a different story. And then the other thing is, which I think the league has done a better job, is define that it's when you hit the ground initially with your body, your entire contact. If the ball comes out, then it's incomplete. If you maintain control and you roll over and then it's knocked out of your hands, then you've completed the process. So it's that initial boom to the ground. Really, very clear, isn't it?
It sounds good, but I have no doubt that you will get that call and your face with those specs will be on camera this weekend.
Yeah, but I'll be in the bathroom when it comes. Yes. When that play happens on the catch, no catch, I might be in the bathroom.